Good evening, everyone. Okay, you can hear me, I guess. The board has already met in executive session and we need to salute to the flag at that time. So at this time, we're up to roll call.
Ms. Beckman?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes. Here.
Mr. Sada? Here. Mrs. White?
Here.
Mrs. McCune?
Here.
Mrs. Richmond?
Here.
Mrs. Corn?
Here.
Mrs. Wolbert?
Here.
Mr. Marcari? Here. Mr. Sy? Here. Ms. Fox?
Here.
Mrs. Gray?
Here.
Madam President?
Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to draw your attention to the statement of public notice in your agenda. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education and was previously advertised. There are 2 times during the meeting for public comment in the meeting. The first is for questions or public comment on agenda items only. So if you have a question about anything listed on the agenda, that will be the time to come forward and ask a question or state your concern. Later in the meeting, there is a second public comment session for other comments or questions you may have on anything else that was not covered on the agenda. At the time that you come up to the microphone, please state your name and address and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes. Our first item is the student representative. Jimmy?
My mic is on? Okay, great. So everything's been going pretty well. As I was just telling Mrs. Beckman, it feels like everything's really heating up during the third marking period especially. I was able to meet with Ms. Hudak for the first time as the acting principal for the first time last week, and I thought that was a pretty productive meeting. So she asked me to collect a few student concerns and stuff like that. I'm planning to meet with her again this week to discuss them, but some of the, I guess, biggest ones I may as well bring up here. They might end up being school administration policy and stuff, but I'll just, I guess, hear some thoughts. One thing I guess people have complained about a lot to me personally is the attendance policy. Someone called it draconian, not my words, theirs. I'm sure you have plenty, I guess, limitations from the state of New Jersey or just overall limited control over the attendance policy. But for example, I guess some people were frustrated that, according to the handbook, a death in the family is not considered a non-chargeable absence for classes and stuff like that. And they feel overall that both the tardy policy and attendance policy are restrictive and something they'd like to see loosened up. Another thing is that people have asked for more access to feminine hygiene products in the bathrooms at the high school, and I guess could extend to the middle school as well. So that's something I'll definitely bring up to her. And then lastly, we discussed the possibility of a senior clap out. So essentially where the seniors go back to their elementary schools and get a nice big round of applause. Again, just something that she asked me to think about and talk to other students about. And sorry, I said that was the last thing. Lights in the parking lot at Ridge High School. Some people have said that they don't necessarily always feel the safest walking back to their cars late at night because they feel like the lighting is either insufficient or weak in the parking lot, especially by the pack. One big thing I guess I wanted to follow up on from before is I think I said a meeting or so ago that I want to reach out further to the board advocacy committee, especially about future student gov meetings. I think I remember hearing that the board advocacy committee no longer exists. I may have remembered incorrectly, but I was wondering, I guess, if there's any follow-up I could get or more information with regards to that. And last thing is, I mentioned this pretty briefly with Ms. Fox at the end of the last meeting, but I wanted to, I guess, just collect some opinions on curriculum changes in terms of how we grade things and weight GPAs, just with a few of my friends. So that's a personal project that I guess I'd love to conduct, I guess, a little more student polling on. So yeah, those are the issues that students have brought up to me recently.
So I'm just going to address your question about the advocacy committee. In its former state, it does not exist, but there will still continue to be, is it 4 times? 4 times a year, we'll be meeting with student governments.
So is that just I guess who's in charge of organizing that? If there's
So Mrs. White is kind of the overseer of the planning and scheduling, and then she'll reach out to available Board of Education members because there can only be 4 of us at a meeting. So we function a lot like a committee meeting. It's just not a standing committee with a monthly meeting scheduled.
guess I can just clarify just for anyone in the audience that's wondering about the PTO meetings and stuff that the advocacy committee did. So we're still going to have board members attending meetings, the PTO and PAC meetings, and meeting with the student government, but we're just going to make it more flexible so different board members can take turns instead of having one committee that does it all the time.
Did anybody else want to add anything? Okay, thank you, Jimmy. And then our next item is the superintendent's report.
Okay, so just a couple of things. Our second item is the usual HIV report we do with each of our Board of Education meetings. The second item is approval for the WAM's 8th grade Washington DC trip. What has to happen whenever we have an overnight field trip is that it has to have separate approval by the Board of Education. So since the students that go to DC do spend one night, they usually go down on a Thursday, spend Thursday night, come down on a Friday, or come home on a Friday. So that's why this is on the agenda, but it's not a new trip, similar agenda to the past, so kind of run of the mill.
Okay, so our next item, oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Can I have a motion to approve Mrs. Holdridge and Mrs. McKee?
Can I say something before we go up? I just want to thank all the chaperones, the teachers, and any parents that are going on the Washington DC trip. I have an 8th grader, and it's a very generous thing that everyone has been willing to do over all these years, because it's a lot.
So can we have a roll call, Mr. McCarthy?
Ms. Becker?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Sapp? Yes. Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Richard?
Yes.
Mrs. Corn?
Yes.
Mrs. Holdridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McKee?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Madam President?
So now we're up to public comment on agenda items. Anyone who would like to make a comment, please come up to the microphone. Please sign in on the sign-in sheet, your name and address, and then come to the microphone. Nobody wants to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our next item, which is approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve Mr. Salmon and Mrs. Corn? And roll call.
Ms. Becker?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Sapp? Yes. Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Richard?
Yes.
Mrs. Corn?
Yes.
Mrs. Holdridge?
Abstain.
Mrs. McKee?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Madam President?
Okay, so our next item is the Finance Committee report. Is there a report tonight?
What's that?
I'm sorry, I'm looking up, my apologies.
We are meeting next week. Item on the agenda for tonight are number 1 is disbursements, number 2 is professional development, and that's also on the agenda too, is more professional development. Number 3 and 4 are in-home service, in-home instruction. Number 5 is revision of consulting agreement, and number 6 is utilization of the alternate.
I can explain that. Right.
I'm sorry, can we have a motion to Schaefer and Mrs. White? And then Mr. McLaughlin can share.
So item number 6, the district is required by the state, as are all school districts, for I guess the last 5 years now, to participate in the state Special Education Medicaid Initiative. What that's all about, just a quick refresher for all of us, is that the state gets a
eligible services in special education, which are usually OT, PT types of services. So the state has a third-party provider that they've had under contract for 5 years that does a projection that says, we say that Berners Township will have X number of students that are eligible. In this case, they said we have 51 students that are eligible that meet this standard. They don't do any real deep analysis of it. And I've talked extensively over the years with our Director of Special Services, and I've looked at the students that they identify as, quote, Medicaid eligible. Two things have to happen. First of all, we have to reach out to the families, which Special Services does, and the family has to say, yes, we'll participate. They can decline, which means we can't file a claim with the state, which in turn files it with the federal government. And secondly, they have to receive a service that's eligible. So for years, the state's been saying we have 51 students. We have really, out of 51 that they identified, 16 who receive eligible services. And not all of them receive all of the services to the maximum extent the state says are reimbursable. So the state has a projection that's here, and the reality is somewhere over here. What you see here is a resolution to ask the state to adjust our goal down to what we actually collect based upon the actual number of eligible students and the actual number of eligible services they have. So when the state does it, they assume their third-party company assumes the maximum number of services for every student, and not every student's IEP calls for that number of hours of OT or PT or other eligible services in the course of the year for a student. So what you see here is a revision of that, bringing in line with the reality of what actually we have here in terms of claimable services. All of this work is so that the state can basically claim, whatever we collect here, the state collects about 2/3 more than that. So it's really, the reason the state's doing this contributes overall when you look at the entire state, the state's bottom line. That's what I because obviously $6,000 or $7,000 is not going to give you make or break us, but it does, we do spend quite a bit of time in terms of special services and in terms of my office, in terms of the administrative time that's spent to collect this. Every time a nurse is provided, even if your provider has to go online and log that service basically in the online service. There are quarterly reports, there are weekly reports, there are biannual reports, so there's a lot that goes into collecting this. What I'm trying to do here is to bring that number in line with what the reality is, so we don't have some sort of expectation on the part of the state that we're going to collect, $22,000 or $25,000 when in fact we only have services that are eligible for $7,600 worth of claims.
Does anyone have any questions?
Who are we collecting this from?
We actually go online and file this application online with the state's third-party provider, and they in turn pass this along and they get it from the federal government because it's Medicaid related.
Okay, so if no one has any questions, can we have a roll call?
I just want to jump in on that real quick. So I just wanted to highlight on the addendum, the item that was added to the professional development expenses. You'll notice is a group of our staff here from the middle school attending a conference, the International Technology and Engineering Educators Association. So I just wanted to explain to you why that was happening, because it was kind of neat that the team here at the middle school just received some notification that they were selected to be recipients of the Middle School Program of the Year distinction given by the International Technology and Engineering Educators Association. And the award is being presented at this national conference in Baltimore, Maryland. And they recognized that it was a significant ask to have the whole department be eligible to go. but they were willing to kind of share in the expense, and they asked the board to support the conference registration fee, and that they would cover their travel and lodging. So I thought it was a nice compromise, and that's why I brought it to you, and I also wanted to recognize their achievement in earning this award.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Beckman?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Senna?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Korn?
Yes.
Mrs. Woldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McKeon?
Yes, and abstain on number 5.
Mrs. Gray?
Thank you. The next item is, I just now have my phone because I'm not, there is no report this evening, and I do not, oh, yes, I do. On February 21st is the next meeting. And then the next item is the policy committee report. Mrs. Clark?
No, we didn't, we were supposed to meet, we were going to meet today, but there was no,
No stress, that's my idea.
yes, no update, no stress assessment. So we'll have our next meeting, which is, so we're going to have more up there. More.
Thank you. So then the next item is the curriculum committee report.
Curriculum met on Friday, and I'm working on the minutes, so I will report out at the next meeting.
Thank you. And the next item is the wellness committee report.
Wellness met January 23rd. It was the first meeting since the reorg, and welcomed all the new members. And it's also the launching of our new name. Wellness was selected after much discussion as it encompasses our goals for the entire community. We reviewed the goals of the committee and continue to monitor progress on developing and implementing a plan to communicate to faculty, staff, the community, Board of Ed support for wellness. As the decision has been made to move forward with the rotating drop schedule, we are moving on to the next phase, which involves using real schedule requests to run mock schedules. This is being done in conjunction with using real requests to run student schedules for the 2020-21 school year. Teachers may not see this mock schedule until the fall. Using Genesis as opposed to Aspen is very helpful in terms of matching with and entering electives with a one-to-one choice. For example, if a student wants chorus but does not get it, there would be the next selection in place of chorus. We will also now be able to see how many students receive their first choice. We discussed the time that works for everyone to hold our committee meetings and have decided to keep it the same as 8 a.m. as works best for everyone. January 29th was the in-service day, and Character Strong was the focus. At the time we met, it hadn't happened yet. Ms. Howard had been planning activities alongside a committee of teachers who attended the workshop in Massachusetts. In light of changes that have occurred at Bridge since the initial planning this fall, Character Strong understands the need for tweaking culture and climate activities to focus upon uplifting and team building as a goal for the afternoon. And there will also be an in-service day in March. There are tentative plans for it, but the committee will wait and see what came out of the January 29th meeting before those plans are finalized. Mrs. Hudak shared that WAMS will be moving forward with the proposal to loop guidance counselors beginning in the fall. At the elementary and high school level, students have a guidance counselor that follows them through their years, but currently at WAMS, the students have a different counselor each year. Looping will allow a counselor to follow students all 3 years. Details first had to be worked out as there currently is not enough number of counselors, which made this a bit more complicated. After shifting some positions, the results are as follows. For grade 6, Andy West will be a full-time counselor, Amy Stem is a counselor and a SAC. For grade 7, Kara Checki is the full-time counselor, and Jamie Sutton will be the counselor and a SAC. For grade 8, Lori Thompson will be the full-time counselor, and Marissa Berkowitz will be the counselor and a SAC. In addition, Dr. Bush will remain in full-time SAC for all grade levels. This change has been well received by all and enables counselors to attend team-level meetings as well as better manage the most at-risk students. Communication about this plan has begun with parents through the PAC and with faculty, and they all support the change. Counselors have started to work on a living document about the transition that includes details such as who is doing what, who is shadowing whom, what is needed to be known, in essence, making sure nothing is lost in the transition. There's also an ongoing discussion as to whether in the future it would be beneficial for administration to loop, but this is just at the discussion phase. And for now, the focus will be establishing relationships between teachers and counselors. The Ask a National model is also discussed each month. Last summer, there was much curriculum writing that's now halfway completed that includes new lessons. The process of determining how to collect data, look at data, and determine how a difference can be made has begun. A review with the elementary team is occurring, and they are exploring if any lessons need to be shifted or revised. Principals are very supportive of this, and the staff has done a great job. The National Model Book was purchased, and a book study is taking place to determine if this model would fit for our district and what pieces of it are liked and work will continue into the spring. Changes have already begun. For example, a career lesson just happened for the sophomores, and this is different than last year. With the creation of an additional internship program, senior year under John Brum, it became important to have students begin thinking about topics earlier. Hopefully this information will feed into the senior experience. In addition, ways to push out information to parents is being explored to make sure everyone is aware of the senior internship opportunities. If career lessons are interesting, it could build interest in the senior internship. The community feedback on later start times was discussed. And as with anything, it's always difficult to please everyone, but great efforts are being made to not leave any stone unturned, to determine the best course of action for all. There are very real issues to explore, such as teacher schedules, child care offerings, busing and changes in traffic. Mr. Rakarian has been meeting with other superintendents about this very issue, but currently there is no plan for the entire county to make a change. At the next Bernards Township Connect meeting on March 5th at 2:45, we will dive into the mechanics involved in a change to start time that includes busing, finances, sports, and traffic. Our next Wellness Committee meeting is February 27th.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, then our next item is liaison committee reports. Mrs. Korn?
Yep, the Municipal Alliance met on February 4th, and there are a couple of things that are going on, which are really good things for the community. The woman, Meg Btboe, she's the Assistant Mental Health Administrator for Somerset County. She oversees the Mental Health Board at Board Services. She was saying how they're trying to start a countywide stigma-free presentation, and where they're going to have, so they talk about how stigma affect people and keep them from getting the help they need because of the stigma. And they want to partner with the local, this is going to be a countywide one, they want to partner with the local, we have stigma-free Basking Ridge. And they want to partner with them and bring in presenters, people who have overcome the stigma and gotten help. And it sounds like a really interesting program. They can get it going to all the local communities. So she was, I met with Ms. Harris to sync the Bernards and the Somerset stigma programs. So that was interesting. We have some upcoming events. There's one called the Fentanyl Factor. So at the Rich Pack on March 31st, they're going to be showing, it's a 15-minute documentary screening. We're partnering with the Somerset Hills Municipal Alliance and the Safe Community Coalition. So there's a 15-minute screening, and then there's Narcan training. But people have to register. The flyers are going to be coming out, and they have to register because only 30 people. The training is limited to 30 people. So training with the Narcan. the flyers in development, and this can be shared on all the websites and stuff. And I'll look it up if I have any more information. I'm not sure if it came out yet. But they want people to register to keep track of attendees, and they're going to have a discussion after the movie. Then there's Not Just for the Likes, which is a presentation on effects of social media on mental health. That's Thursday, April 30th, from 6 to 8 at the municipal building, the Berners Municipal Building. It's presented by Olamide Margalucci, and she is the crisis intervention specialist at the Family Crisis Intervention Unit for Somerset County. And so she's going to be presenting this. And there's I think people have already posted this maybe on websites in town. It should be interesting. She did a little preview when we had the screenagers showing. She previewed this presentation. So I think I mentioned it last time. But that's April 30th from 6 to 8, and it's at the municipal building. There's also the Twilight Challenge, which is the big fundraiser for the Municipal Alliance, which is Sunday, June 7th. Everyone's put on their calendars. And then Charter Day, May 16th. And they're also doing a stigma-free concert at Ross Farms, which is really interesting, on May 8th. And they're working on the details for that. They have a musician performing who, his name is Jesse Rubens. He's been on the Today Show. He was diagnosed with Lyme disease that put him into depression because it was undiagnosed for a really long time. He talks about that, and they're trying to get presenters to talk about how they overcome the stigma of mental health and how they better help. So we're trying to get that all together, and so that would be May 8th, just to put on people's calendar. I think that's it.
Any questions for Mrs. Clark? Any other liaison reports? Okay. The next item is public comment on non-agenda items. If anyone would like to come up, please write your name on the clipboard and state your name and address for the public. Nobody? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment on non-agenda items. The next item is board forum. Does anyone have anything they would like to talk about? No? Okay.
Just wanted to let the public know that we are looking to move our March 9th Board of Education meeting to March 16th. So if everyone wants to take a note, we'll get that updated calendar out shortly. Thanks. The reason is related to the budget calendar. That's why we're moving the meeting.
Okay, so no board forum, no public comment. Would someone like to move for adjournment? Mrs. Beckman and Mr. Sandman. All in favor?